Hello, I'm Missy Howard, and thank you for tuning in to the Trucker Barbie channel. So you want to drive a cargo van. There are some things to consider before driving a cargo van. Number one would be the pay. It's hard to give you an exact amount of what to expect because when you drive for an owner, contracts are going to be different. Some owners pay for fuel. Some owners do a 60-40 split. 60 goes to the driver plus fuel surcharge, and the owner makes 40% and takes care of repairs and so on. The difficult thing about driving a cargo van for me was storage. I did have storage under the bed, and it was enough, but I would have liked to have been able to take along more. But that is just me. Some people don't have a lot of things, and so it might be something that you don't find very difficult. So, it's very individual. When it comes to pay, you can expect anywhere as a solo driver, after deductions, to make anywhere from $400 to $600 a week. It might be more, like I said, depending on the type of contract you have, whether or not you own your own cargo van, and so on. But that's just like a ballpark, okay? So I'm just ballparking that for you. I'm not saying that that would be your absolute limit, okay? Because the cargo van business it's kind of a wild business, okay? And in my opinion, cargo van drivers, they deserve a lot of respect. In my opinion, they are the real true cowboys of the transportation business because they're unregulated for one. They don't get very much sleep as a result most of the time, in my opinion. That's my opinion. Okay. When I drove for Panther, and I had the fortune of having a good owner who kept up with repairs and who cared about his drivers, okay? But that is not always the case. So if you're, unsure or worried or wary in any way, try to get things in writing as far as who's going to pay for repairs and who's going to pay for fuel and so on. But the man that I drove for, we just had a verbal agreement. It was 60-40. He took care of repairs, and I took care of fuel, and I got 60%, and I got the fuel surcharge. Okay, and that is the arrangement that is pretty standard. Okay, and when you drive a cargo van, in my personal opinion, my personal preference, I would not drive a cargo van that did not have a stationary bed, because I don't want to get to a shipper and have the expectation that I'm going to move my bed to make room for more freight. Okay, you need to also measure the dimensions of the inside of the cargo van. This is usually already done for you if you drive for a carrier, and they know exactly the dimensions that you can take in the cargo van. But you need to always know these things too. You need to know the weight you can take, the dimensions you can take. You need to make sure you have the proper materials you need to secure your cargo. That is extremely important. A lot of people get in cargo vans and they don't realize they need to secure their freight. You do, okay? Bad things can happen if you don't. Most cargo vans they're kind of moving into sprinters now, and the typical cargo van is kind of being phased out, and so I guess they're getting bigger. They're able to hold more freight. You also need to consider the fact that it's not like a semi-truck bobtail where you have an APU. The owner that assigns a cargo van to you may have some things in place in the cargo van to provide heat or air conditioning to keep you from having to idle for heat and air conditioning, and they may not. So find these things out. Know what you're getting into before you pick up that van. And a lot of times when you get a van, it's been used by somebody else before. You may find that you have to clean it before you can drive it. Find out what the rider policy is. Can you take a family member? Find out what the pet policy is. Some cargo van owners do not allow you to take a pet. Some cargo van owners are going to ask you, are you able to change a tire? They're going to expect you to be able to do certain mechanical things. The man that I drove for didn't. All I had to do, if there was any problem, was take the cargo van wherever it needed to go for repair. All I had to do basically was keep an eye on tires, keep an eye on the fluids, and just make sure that it was in good working order. If it wasn't, just report it to the owner. The owner typically takes care of something that isn't in good working order, because they don't want to have more repairs and have it be more expensive later on down the line. Most of them are going to want to take care of a problem right away. So consider the size of the van, consider what it's equipped with, consider what the rider policy is, the pet policy, the pay policy. Will you get pay statements or not? When is the day of the week or whatever that you're going to get paid? Is it weekly, bi-weekly, so on? And always have a travel fund so that you can get home in the event that your cargo van experience does not work out. Okay? So always have funds set aside to where you can get on a Greyhound, or you can fly or whatever. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the law states that a carrier or an owner has to get you to your city of domicile safely if something doesn't work out with you and their business. In other words, they decide to terminate you, or you have an accident, God forbid, or whatever. But anyway, make sure you can get home on your own if you have to, because I have heard some nightmare stories. Okay. Another thing is make sure that you understand that it's not regulated. Like I said, when I drove for Panther, you got a 5-hour break. Okay. But some people have told me that they found that 5-hour break was eaten away with things like traffic, weather, delays at shippers and receivers. I've heard of cargo van drivers who didn't sleep for 34 hours, 48 hours, sometimes more. I've heard of cargo van drivers who fell asleep at the wheel due to lack of sleep because they felt pressured to deliver a load. Or maybe nobody did pressure them. Maybe they pressured themselves. Okay, so what you have to keep in mind is no load is worth a life. Okay, so if you have a problem and you don't think you can do a load, you may have to turn it down. It might upset some people. You might even have to swap a load with somebody else so that it gets there. That happens too, but just keep in mind that you're human. The person that you drive for, they're human, okay? And just try to get all the rest you can, and, take frequent naps and that kind of thing. I was not able to ever nap. I'm the kind of person, I sleep in one big block, and if I don't get that, I'm not going to sleep at all. And that is the reason it didn't work out for me. It had nothing to do with the owner that I drove for. He was actually a pretty nice guy. He still is. So anyway, so just consider these things, ask the right questions, okay? Find out if you need a CDL. Most cargo van companies now don't require you to have a CDL. At one time, Panther required that you had a Class C for cargo van. But just find out what all the requirements are. Find out where you will be able to park the vehicle when you're on home time. Find out the home time policy and so on with the owner that you drive for, if you're going to drive for an owner. Anyway, that's all I have on cargo vans. If you have any questions, let me know. OTRTeamDriverMatch.com. That's OTRTeamDriverMatch.com. Thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye.